Jessie Sheehan.
Yes.
Welcome, General Manager of Corinda Waters.
Thank you.
Anywhere between 14 months and 18 months.
Correct.
Depending on how you count. Welcome to Business Insider.
Thank you.
I'm going to grab you now as an outsider.
Yes.
We sometimes think of ourselves as a tourist destination. Sometimes we think of ourselves as aged care. Sometimes we think of ourselves as IT and creative. Let's talk about tourism and conventions. What did you find when you arrived at Corinda Waters?
I think it's a really unutilised space. It's a beautiful, serene location that not enough people know about. And a great opportunity to expand on some of the markets that we're already reaching, but really lots of opportunity.
Mm-hmm. And it's been a difficult time to arrive because conventions haven't been at the top of a lot of big businesses.
Yep, absolutely.
Shopping lists. How have the numbers been?
Look, the numbers have been consistent. I think there's a lot of opportunity now with a bit of a change in time frame on conferences to a really short lead time frame. Oh. So we're not seeing those traditionally, 18 to 12 month booking lead times where we know what we've got on the books at all times. We're really having to rely on a lot of people with their sometimes even 2-week lead times to secure a residential
Is that
conference.
just here or is that?
Seems to be across the board nationally. Mm-hmm. I do talk regularly to other GMs and people throughout the industry, and people who have publications for the industry as well. And it seems to be the growing trend, I think.
Okay. What makes Corinda separate, different from the rest?
We're a 4.5-star residential golf and spa resort, so we offer all of those components. There's a residential, so we have the properties on site available to purchase. We've got an Indota day spa. We have a beautiful 18-hole championship standard golf course.
I've lost more balls on that golf course than anywhere else.
It is very tricky.
Yes,
but
a beautiful course.
Yeah,
beautiful
and
course.
The fact that it is set on wetlands gives it that tranquility, but also the complexity of the game. And I think the location of the property is really very secluded, and that's really a positive thing for a lot of conferences who want to have that privacy of not sort of flashing around their dollars of where they're having their conferences, but also for families and for romantic stays, to have that 84-room property that's not 300 rooms that you're competing for a space at the pool. You can really find your own space within the property.
And a great restaurant, Corinda.
Beautiful restaurant.
Yeah. The environment and the way Corinda has run itself has always been important, and you've just won another award. Where does that strategy come from? Is it a specific strategy or is it just bolt on to other stuff? It's
something that's always been in place at Corinda. So some of those factors most of them were thought about in the creation of the whole facility. So, the backwater runoff, the water treatment, the use of battery operated carts instead of petrol. A lot of those things were done in the setup, and we're able to maintain those and think of additional things that we can do. Accor have recently launched their Planet 21 campaign, which looks at every part of a hotel room and a hotel's food and beverages, and has a number of options for us to improve even further.
Mm-hmm. When it comes to working with local providers, do you get much flexibility there, or I'm thinking particularly in managing the room from every angle sort of thing? Do you get the opportunity to look at local providers, or is it more national providers that you've got to link with?
We absolutely do have the flexibility. We do receive the benefit of a national supplier listing, but we certainly do have the opportunity, particularly with things like food and beverages, where we want it to be fresh, local produce, supporting our other local businesses where we're getting the absolute best quality. We do have complete flexibility to do that.
Okay, that's cool. Because the way we like this interview to be used is for local providers of all sorts of things to say, hey, we should be working
definitely
with Jessie.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. Considering how strong the Australian dollar is are there strategies in place to counter that?
It'll always be something that we are combating, and it is something that people will always look to compare against an international option. people want to support locally, and if there's a way of doing that that saves them time and money, that we can provide that solution. It's about the way that we package it up in finding out what's really important to them. If it's important to them, if budget is the number one deciding factor, then we need to be solution based, and we need to tailor a package that works within that budget without them having to go offshore.
Mm-hmm. And I'm just thinking about, you've got two airports to choose from if they're coming from internally.
Yeah, absolutely.
What is the mix there? Is Newcastle getting a fair share of the flights?
Not really.
Right.
Most of what we see are coming from Sydney,
Right.
and then coaching up to us for interstate conferences. So I think Newcastle can definitely see some opportunity there to be a different option.
I just think it's a great differentiation. You know,
Sure.
It's literally a different entry point to this region rather than driving over the Harbour Ridge. Bless its cotton socks, cool, but it is still a big city. You fly into Newcastle. Yeah.
It's much more accessible as an airport, and for people who are flying in from all different areas to have to then deal with the hustle and bustle of a huge international airport, whereas you can have that option of a secluded little airport where there's no fuss, you're in and out, and then get on your way to us. It's a great option. I use it regularly.
When it comes to strategies for the next, do you have you would have some very clear strategies and some very clear personal expectations. Can you share a couple of your strategies with us for the next 12 months?
Sure. Look, residential conferencing will always be the number one for Cowinda Waters, and certainly that ties in well with our partnership with Central Coast Tourism. I think it's a really important thing that we do our bit to bring tourism to the coast, and to do that through residential conferences where you have that 2 and 3 night stay and that spend across a number of different industries then once they're here, through team building activities, restaurants throughout the coast.
Okay. We are fans of Central Coast Tourism. You have, again, fresh eyes, constructive eyes, solution-based eyes. What would you love them to do more of to Central Coast Tourism?
I think I've seen the beginnings of a real campaign into the inbound market, which we're already tapping into a little bit at our property. I think there's greater opportunity there to continue what has been started across a number of different international markets. I think probably back to conferences again. I think there's more that we can do as a destination to create that brand that is an all-inclusive package on the coast, and to help people like me to distribute that more widely.
We have got some extra, I don't know, in some of the extensive research I've done, you've been to my favourite treetop adventure park.
Yes.
Sandrines.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Does that fit with that team building? Is that where you send them?
Absolutely. We've got a great partnership with Treetops, and I've been there personally for a famil. I brought a core sales team up for a famil of the coast once we took over a year ago. And
that's not Italian for anything other than familiarisation, is it?
Yes, correct. Familiarisation.
Let's remember who we're talking to here.
Perfect. So yes, and I'm pleased to say that I achieved the black level of the course. So not being a super fit person, it's a great accolade.
Yeah.
But that's definitely our number one. We do a lot of team building there. We do a lot of team building on site through Pinnacle events. Glenworth Valley is great for horse riding.
Mud running.
Yeah, absolutely. Quad bike riding. So that's really something that a lot of businesses are looking for at the moment. It's something that really got cut back through the GFC, theming. Some of those unnecessary things were the first things to go, but really I think as people are rebuilding their companies and taking them away, often to a regional destination, that's one thing they really want to build again, is those relationships by some bonding.
Yes, getting people 20 metres up a tree is a great way to bond.
Absolutely. That's right.
Yeah. But they are great fun. I don't think, just as an aside, I don't think enough Central Coasties actually go and enjoy those things either. Glenworth Valley, and Treetops, cool.
Yeah.
Stop doing editorial, Bob will get upset. That's to me, not you.
Sure.
back to the Central Coast tourism, those affiliations are important. Are Sydney siders being told enough about us?
No, they're not, is the simple answer. And I think through my experience in the past year or so, I think not enough people know about the coast as a destination for their holiday getaway, for their golfing getaway, for their wedding, to relocate permanently. It's such an all-round star of a destination, but it just doesn't have the brand identity of some of the stronger regions brands, I think, like the Hunter Valley and the Blue Mountains. And I think we need to fight to, as a team, a collective group of partners, to create that brand and be clear about what it is. Because
your history is Adelaide Hills.
That's right.
Some time there. Not dissimilar in terms of proximity to a major, well, let's call Adelaide for the argument's sake, a major town.
That's right.
Are there similarities there in terms of attracting locals to go there?
Absolutely. Came up against the exact same challenges with the Barossa, McLaren Vale, Clare Valley being really strong destinations. So the Hills was exactly in the same sort of situation of, some fabulous things to offer that are really different to those regions, but not having that awareness or that real brand identity that people can hold on to.
What I love about those similarities is we need to attract them here rather than linking them on to a hunter. They can go to the hunter if they want, but we need them here. And similar to what you did in the Hills, I would think.
Absolutely.
They can wander off and have some red wine somewhere else.
Yep, that's right. We can tie it in.
With regard, how can we speed that? The Central Coast Tourism is doing it. You're doing it, I guess, with their encouragement. With Treetops and Glenworth Valley and stuff like that. How do we break, because we are about breaking silos down and getting people to talk. We are not competitors, we are part of a weekend away.
Yeah.
And how can we do more of that?
I think just getting people here. We need to be in front of people in Sydney, in Newcastle, in Victoria, everywhere through a number of different strategies. I think we need to review what our marketing campaign is as a destination and what we're all doing maybe separately that we could bring together to be a stronger approach to that.
Do we, a little knowledge is a dangerous thing. I'm aware you have a group in head office that look after recommending sites for conferences.
Yeah.
That's one source. Compared to your, hey, a PA rings up and says, I want some details. What's that business split for you, or is that getting into a confidential area?
Look, I think it's probably more so direct. There's obviously Accor is a large business and well known throughout Australia, and we utilise that relationship really well. I think that's something we'll continue to do with the Mirvac acquisition and the number of other hotels we do now have to partner with, where we really can work together with the Newcastle properties, the Hunter Valley and the coast to offer solutions throughout this whole region with more firepower by working together.
Does that come from individual hotels, or does that come from Accor, then to Mercure, and then to...
Look, I think it's a lot about the general managers and having those relationships across the businesses to see that there's those benefits, to talk to each other and say, hey, look, I think we're a great golfing destination and you've got a golf course and so do you and so do I. Let's put something together that's going to be attractive to other regions.
Okay. Your challenge for 2012, 2013, what will make you a star?
Look, it'll continue to be awareness of the product and certainly securing those big residential conferences that are there, but there's not enough of. I think just working towards that even more.
Another question. We've got there's a little property over North Entrance. You might be familiar with Magenta Shores.
Yes.
I thought you would.
Of course.
And the Crown Plaza.
Yep.
Are they complementary to you, or how do you view them, I guess?
Okay. I think all three of us fit a different mould and appeal to different people. We don't often find ourselves competing against each other because of the different locations have got different things to offer. The star ratings are slightly different, and the sizes of the property are all quite different. So I think there's unique things to offer about each, and we all have our place.
Yeah. Is there? I get that. We won't, and beautifully handled, might
Thanks.
I say. If we look north, you see the Central Coast as being a destination or a pathway to somewhere else? Absolutely,
as a destination. I think there are the opportunities to tie us in, particularly for inbound tour operators. There's that Port Stephens dolphin watching and things like that, where we will be a stopover, and that's fine, that's great, that serves a purpose. But truly, I think, particularly for leisure, for corporate, for building new industry on the coast, and for conferences, we need to be our own destination.
And in terms of one thing you wish you could change maybe in that tourism space on the Central Coast, have you got a thought on this? Could be a rant under another name. Would you change something?
Nothing I can think of at the moment.
Or that we could put to air.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. You're passionate, and we did promise to talk about passion. Where does this come from? You kind of you like this space. So how do you build that passion for this thing?
Thinking back to my earliest jobs, I was a lifeguard at a local pool, and I was a babysitter for a family of 3. So that to me means caring about people and making sure that they're happy. And that transitioned beautifully into hospitality, where I was serving beer at a local pub. Beer makes people happy. So I think...
Very simple path, isn't
I know. And having a great stay at a hotel for whatever your purpose is continues on with that. And my passion really comes from seeing our guests happy, but also seeing staff develop. And that's a big thing for me, a real motivator, that what I can do is to develop people as well.
Staff is critical in hospitality. I'm telling you something new, I'm sure.
Yeah.
How do you... an impediment is, the penalty rates and things like that. Do you get around... Do you have... enterprise agreements that work their way, or
we work with the Hospitality Award, the Hospitality General Award, which is national, so it's recognised for people as they work across different states. It's all nationalised now, and that's not a hindrance for us at all. It's very reasonable rates, regardless of what day and hour you're working.
Okay, just curious.
Sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome.